Hi, hello, ciao, buongiorno. It is a lovely day. You can see the light pouring into my space. This is Teresa Phelps Martin coming to you live, though you might be watching the replay. And for those of you who tell me you watch the replay, that is awesome. I'd love to hear how this practice is, this offering is supporting you. Feedback is welcome. So I'm coming to you in the Soulfully You Facebook group, or perhaps you're finding me on YouTube. I have not changed those little details yet. YouTube is not my strong suit. But I'm working with it. So the theme today is inner critic. Yoga teaches us to become the witness of the critic. We have earth energy that's fixed, which means it can be stubborn sometimes. These are the low roads of these qualities because everything has its high vibe and its low vibe, or the high road or the low road, or the light or the dark. The dark, however, this will come later, is not to be denied. We don't want to banish it. It's not something that we want to curse. So when we have the contractive form, I don't even want to use contractive in a bad way. We just usually have been conditioned to comment that the darkness is bad. It's scary. We've been conditioned to say that death sucks. We have been conditioned to believe that those who cause harm are in a dark place. We have been conditioned that when we feel the discomfort, there's something wrong with us. So that criticism can really derail us. When we speak of the mutable earth energy, it can be highly analytical, which is really important, especially if you're an accountant and you have deadlines and you have to get your taxes in, just saying. But that's also really important, right? The ability to be critical, the ability to analyze. That inner critic can cause a lot of judgment, and that judgment can cause harm. And when harm is caused, we disrupt the greater alignment. Okay, so yoga, one of the greatest things about yoga is that it teaches us how to become the witness. Astrology reminds us that we all have a Mercury. Mercury revolves around each of us and all of us. It is this little frozen rock that is closest to the sun that spins so fast that it'll appear to spin backwards sometimes. The funny thing is that it's not really going backwards. And did you know, just a little tidbit, because we have the moon in Virgo, and I'm speaking fast already, that math and science came about because of astrology. They needed to be able to calculate what was going on in the heavens. So we have so much criticism or skepticism about astrology being something bad, taboo, dark, dangerous. There's nothing to fear. It's just like saying the sun, right, has had its it's had its blasts, right? And good morning, all of you all that are here. Thank you so much for saying hello. I appreciate your light in so many ways. And so when we find that critic driving the train, driving the bus, we usually just derail. Now that derailing isn't always a bad thing, okay? And what we want to do is become more of the witness. So Mercury, everybody has a Mercury. Mine happens to be in the fixed earth. And if you ask anybody that knows me, I am highly adaptable. That's my Gemini nature. It's a lot of other things too. But when I make up my mind, you're not changing it. It's because of my value system and that core energy. So what we can do in the high road of this fixated, persistent, sustaining energy of earth and the energy of mutable earth, that ability to adapt and dissolve, that what we can do is actually use judgment and the criticism as feedback. So what I want you to do though today is we're going to be slow, steady. This afternoon, the sun will move into Gemini, and Venus is there and Mercury is there. So we're having eclipses on the Gemini axis. The full moon is May 26th in Sagittarius, and the new moon is June 10th in Gemini. And so what we have is this learning and communicating and contracts and messaging to teaching, to beliefs, to expanding our views. So that criticism, when it shows up, it's something that's nagging at you, right? Like my back is nagging at me. I can be really critical and I can go into that land of, oh, woe is me. I always hurt. Will my body ever feel good? I have all these tools. I have all these practices. Why is it bothering me? I don't have that answer. But what I can do is feel that contraction, and I can criticize it and I can judge it, or I can use it, the message, to say, take care of yourself, drink more water, don't dig in the ground for a little while, ask for help. So these are all the things. So when we can use that fixed energy and that mutable energy, we can feel how we can sustain and how we can let go, how we can dissolve. So if you can let go of the negating and life depleting energy of the critic and become the witness and observe that we all learn differently, we all articulate differently, we all engage differently, and hold space for that and discover more of how we engage, then rather than being critical, we can be compassionate. So let's do this. We came out of a choice point of how to stay the course. So let's just realign with the physicality of our body. We'll work with the midline. We'll work with muscular energy. And when we have a dun-dun, double earth, we want to also know how we can lead from this place. So let's be the witness. Come to standing on your mat. We're going to work with the breath. We're going to feel our physicality. We're going to feel where we're limited. We're going to also find our strength, and we're going to find how we can actually take the details of our inner depth and bring forward that light. Because if we just criticize it and look at what's wrong, we'll miss how we can actually be of service. So let's do it. Standing on your 2 feet. I am going to have a bolster nearby for myself. I am going to have my water. And as you're standing, we're actually going to start in a forward bend. So as you're in that forward bend, just feel the contraction of your hamstrings or your back. Find a block if you need to. Bend your knees. Relax the head. Feel the breath into the back body. Wiggle your toes, so lift them up, spread them out. Don't keep them all jacked up towards the sky. Make sure you know how to relax them. Bend your knees enough. Lift your heels up and just bend your knees. Okay, so just feeling the feet, feeling the muscles, lifting into the core, relaxing the neck and the jaw. You can move your hips from side to side if you want, and then re-ground your feet. Hands to your shins. Inhale, find length. Exhale, bow. 2 more times. Inhale, find length. Feel that you're here, you're sustaining your practice. We haven't even set in our intention or called on the highest. So being aware of that. right? That's where judgment is actually really powerful. Like, I don't think I need to eat another box of chocolates today. Draw into the belly, roll the spine up, but don't be hard on yourself if you have eaten a box of chocolates today. Inhale, arms overhead, pause here. Notice where you're gripping, that you don't need to be gripping. Notice where you're relaxed, where you actually need to be a little engaged. Notice what's out of alignment. That's really bothering me. Those are those little nuanced details. Find that center, arms are overhead. I know my hands are cut off. Interlace the fingers, cup the hands, and feel that energy above the crown of the head. 5 breaths here, standing steady in your light. And your perfect, beautiful wholeness, the embodiment of you. Breathing into the areas that are vulnerable. And allowing these areas to know that you are here, your attention is on the body, and you're here to sustain the light, your truth, to dissolve those criticisms that impede you on your path, and that as they dissolve, you can awaken to the wisdom that sits within. We'll call in the highest. 3 breaths, appreciating the body and all that it can do for you, even if it feels restricted, limited. Gracious breath in. And then as you exhale, let it all dissolve. Hinge the hips, fold all the way down to the earth. Touch the ground, step back, left foot, right foot, downward dog. 3 breaths here, appreciate the body. Appreciate downward dog, appreciate the practice. Appreciate those life lessons that at one time might have been confusing, but now they're healing. Inhale forward into a plank pose. 3 breaths here. Notice where you're tensing up. Knees high or low, 3 breaths to come all the way down to the earth. I'm letting go of that idea, keeping my knees lifted where I've placed things. 3 breaths all the way to the ground. All the way to the earth, let the chest get heavy, feet point back. Hands walk wide, come to your fingertips, elbows left. Pause here, inhale, Gecko Cobra. So we can use alignment, right, to sustain our practice, but we have to watch where the alignment impedes our natural ability to come through, our natural wisdom. We're overly intellectual. I call it intellectual bypassing. And then exhale, bow down. Overly critical. Anytime you're anything in one direction, you're pulling out of your center. Exhale all the way to the ground. Rest the head. 3 breaths into the depth of your belly. And then inhale, bring your gaze to the center. Hands under the shoulders, tuck the toes, knees high or low, but thigh bones are plugged in. Tails extended, shoulders are to the back. 3 breaths to come up off the ground. Once you're all the way up, all the way back, downward dog. 3 breaths here. Feel the initiating. What are you initiating? The judgment of the practice, the judgment of your body? How can you become more of the witness? Sometimes we're slow to learn, sometimes we're quick. And then walk forward. Watch how the pose dissolves and you're giving birth to something new. Bow into it, all the way forward. Lean forward, lift the heels up, bend your knees. Lift into the core. Heels are lifting, knees are bending, pull into the core. Keep the core lifted. Heels ground down, knees bend into the chest. Roll the spine up vertebrae by vertebrae. Inhale the arms overhead. 3 breaths here. Feeling the connection to the breath, the sustenance, and then exhale. Draw the belly back, sit into that seat of yourself. Do huddle pose if that's more of service. So that witness lets us know, are we limiting ourselves? Are we pushing ourselves? So be the witness more than the critic. Judgment can be a healthy thing though. Exhale, bow down, because it will motivate you. But just watch how much you're condemning the way things are done as if your way is the right way. Exhale, fold over. Inhale, find length. Breathing into every fiber of your being. Exhale, bow. Inhale, find length. Yeah. Exhale, bow down. Bend the knees. Step back, downward dog. Hands are grounded, fingers are spread, arms are engaged. Inhale, plank. Knees high or low. Elbows bend slowly to the earth. All the way down. Feet ground, belly grounds, hands go like gecko cobra. Shoulders to the back. Inhale, curl up. So the belly's lifted, the arms are plugging in. Exhale all the way to the earth. Pillow, pause. Right? Feel the connection to the strength you're building. Watch the inner critic. Inhale, hands under your shoulders. Shoulders drawn to the back, thighs plug in. 3 breaths to rise. I know it may not work out for you. But once you rise, move it all the way back, downward dog. Staying close to the earth. Inhale, right foot forward, left heel grounds. Lunging in, hands come forward, plug in, square the hips off, and then inhale, rise. Virabhadrasana 3, feel the strength in your own leadership, because you know how to sustain your values, but adjust accordingly. Stay the course. Exhale all the way down to the earth, straight into a plank pose. Knees high or low, 3 breaths to the earth. All the way to the ground. Walk hands wide, finger elbows left. Clearly, this is virtual yoga. You choose you. Inhale, gecko cobra. Elbows are wide, shoulders are on the back body. Make sure they're not pulling down. Exhale to the earth, pillow, breathe. 3 breaths. Inhale, hands under your shoulders, shoulders to your back. So plugging in, fingers are spread, knees are grounded, tail taps, 3 breaths to come up. All the way back, downward dog. We're using tradition of yoga. This is Surya Namaskar B in a very modified and adapted way. Left foot steps forward, ground the right heel, lunging in. Hands go forward, plug all the way in, inhale, rise. Woo! My whole left side is under construction. Feeling the breath, the connection. Your strength, what can you let go of? As you do warrior one again, what can you let go of this time? And then exhale all the way to the earth, into plank. Last time you have to do this flow, so maybe that's good or bad. Knees high, low, shoulders into the back, heart is soft. Slowly come to the earth. Each time we practice this, we cultivate strength. So if we just allow the critic to show up, we wouldn't show up. Believe me, a lot of people won't do virtual yoga because they're critical of the energetic exchange. You ain't getting me any other way right now. Elbows lift, shoulders drawn to the back. Inhale, curl up. And then some people are elated for this offering. And then exhale all the way down, 3 breaths. Now, hopefully by this point, you can feel how this pause is sustaining you. It's giving you a moment to reflect. Inhale. Can you tell I would be very happy just staying on the ground face down? Inhale, your gaze to the center, hands under your shoulders, draw into the core, thighs pull in, tail extends. 3 breaths to come up off of the earth. So solid of us. All the way back, downward dog. I've had more people come back to their yoga practice because of quarantine and just COVID. I know some of us are happy the masks are going away, some of us are scared. You gotta find your way, and criticizing everybody else is not for the highest good. You gotta be aware of your own boundaries and choose accordingly. There's billions of us sharing one planet. Walk your feet forward. Exhale, bow. So just attacking the other side is not advantageous. Inhale, finally. 3 times. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, feel the expansion through the sides of the body. The connection to your center, your legs, your hamstrings, all parts and pieces of you. Knees bend, chin to the chest, roll the spine out. Inhale, arms go high. Pause here, bend the knees, sit into your chair. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Reclaim the energy of you. Be the witness. Isn't it interesting? Take interest, but not so much where you pick it all apart. Take interest where you can be the observer. Yoga is not just a physical practice. It's a practice of awareness, being mindful, being present. Full breath in, full breath out. Exhale, release your hands. Clasp them behind you, shoulders drawn into your back. We're going to bend the knees, pull into the midline, come up onto the balls of your feet. Hug to that center, shoulders are to the back, tails anchoring. I know, awkward, odd, and weird. Anchor the right heel to the ground, pull the left heel up, right? So you're kind of like a flamingo. As the shoulders are into the back body, you're just going to hinge at the hips. Tail stretching back, lift through the core. Don't get mad at the right leg. Left knee stays bent, lift at the belly. Both knees are bent, drawing into your center. Now, as much as you're engaging in, or falling over, you're going to undo whatever needs to be undone. You're going to draw into the belly. I got to find my balance here. Draw into the belly, feel the lift, and then extend in two different directions. Right? So staying in the course, but adjusting accordingly, laughing, because it is funny that I cannot balance. I've been working on balance since I was 6, so when I can't balance, I do find it entertaining. Hands reach back, so if you can't balance either, it's all good. There's lots of change happening in the skies. Feel the breath, the connection. Warrior one, so heel grounds back. We've been here before. Pull into the center, draw into that strength. Arms stretch up overhead. Gracious breath in, full breath out. Inhale, straighten the front leg, quarter turn. Widen the feet as much as you need to. Reground. Right foot turns out. Bend the right knee. Feel that length up through the sides of the body. So great connection through the body. Using your breath. It's really warm for me. Feel the power of your legs. Slow and steady. And then move your arms to the place that they can help you stay connected to the alignment, but also the wisdom. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. The details of the depth of you are coming to the surface. And then exhale, hands to the earth. Spin the back heel up, knee to the ground. Hips pull back, flex the foot. Okay, so it's just a playful way to get into a longer hold of warrior two. That's all. There's nothing else. It's that simple. Bend the knee, draw into the belly, hips pull back. Now what we're going to do though is really pull the shin to the midline. Bring the left arm to the outside of that right leg, and then just move away from your center. It's awkward. So you can either get all caught up in the awkwardness, where the stretch is, or you can come back to your breath. We don't want to bypass. We don't want to just say, oh, I'm a highly evolved individual. I have all these tools and all these practices. You can actually bypass the real issues of your life because you're overly mindful, because you do yoga, because you meditate. So we're human. So that critic is real. And if we can be a witness, then we can embrace the critic, we can embrace the ego, we can embrace the judgment, and then choose accordingly. But if we don't have clear values, if we don't respect the emotional and the spiritual and the physical, we're not doing anybody any good. Lunge forward into the front knee, hands to the earth. Back knee's gonna lift. Feel that lift, downward dog, right leg to the sky. As your right foot is kicking up towards the ceiling, stay lifted through that whole left sideline of your being. And then we're going to draw the knee into the chest. Step the foot forward. Then climb forward into a version of standing splits. Bend the knee, even it out. Lean forward into your hands. If you could press up into handstand, it's all yours. I'm not moving towards a wall. We're keeping a foot on the ground. You're just leaning forward, the best of your ability. Don't make it. Don't use that judgment and comparative. Be you. Be connected to what's available to you. Armpits are over the wrists. The weight is forward. And then anchor the right foot down. Bend the left knee. Even it out. Both feet to the ground. Bow. Push that. I know the right foot's heavy. Push the left foot and then breathe into that lightness. Usually what we're doing, we go, oh man, that hurt my foot. And so we actually undo the energetic transmission. We can be aware of that right leg and create buoyancy by grounding the left. Hands to your heart. If you need to roll up, roll up. Otherwise, hands to the heart, shoulders to the back. Inhale, rise all the way up. Hands to heart center. Stand in that light. Sometimes we have to pull our mind's eye up to the ceiling, look down, and looking at ourselves as our great-great-great-grandparents would, adoring us. It's taken your entire lifetime, their lifetimes, for us to arrive in this very moment. Paying honor to the traditions that have birthed us, but that we can let go of those concepts that are of poor service. Hands clasped behind you, shoulders to your back, draw into the belly. Knees bent, thighs pull back, so here we are. Keep that core engaged, hug to the midline. So we know we're gonna pull the thighs back, shoulders draw in. We can laugh at the fact that I could not do this on the other side. And I always know when I struggle, chances are you guys are struggling. And if you're victorious, then send me some of that energy. Shift the weight. So you're still hinged. Both knees are bent. And as you're hinged and both knees are bent, then you're going to keep pulling into yourself with awareness of the tenacity that's necessary so that you can stretch into your warrior three. Funny how this side, which is so exhausted, is so much stronger. Maybe that's it. Exhale, the right foot back. Warrior one. Grounding in. Inhale, the arms overhead. My body is a conundrum. It's a total anomaly. Breathing in and breathing out. And there's no way I would be able to walk if it wasn't for yoga. I know that for a fact. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then you're going to straighten the front leg. Pull back to the center. Heel toe the feet apart. Left foot turns out. So my hands are staying clasped and they're up by my head so that I don't drop down. We want to feel the lift and the length. Exhale, Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. So in the basicness of this practice, there's great tension. That tension is intentional. How judgmental are you of it? Do you need more flexibility and less stability? Become aware of yourself. You know, we criticize introverts. We celebrate extroverts. We criticize slower learners. We celebrate when people get things and improve radically and quickly. We have our whole life to evolve. So let's just celebrate that we're living and that we can all live differently. But we have to live with respect because we are all so different. If you looked at all the astrological charts I looked at, you would see what I'm talking about. You can just walk down the street unless you live in an area where everyone looks like you. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then exhale all the way down. Spin the back heel up, knee to the earth, hip moves back. So Ardha Hanuman, a very limited expression of the hamstring stretch, coming to the earth, grounding into it, aligning the pelvis and the hips, drawing into the core. Soften the heart, ease up on yourself. So that mutable earth energy is the hardest on itself. I think it's just because so much of our world has been misunderstood. And that when one knows, but isn't supported in what they know, they're lost. They don't know how to be of service. They don't know how to embrace their light. And that darkness ends up taking over. That loneliness, that isolation, that lack of connection. Like, think about it. I think it's still Mental Health Awareness Month, May. We've always called it mental illness, the mentally ill, the crazy. Whoops. It's just because people don't like being inconvenienced, that it scares them when somebody's different from them. So that criticism holds power. Sorry. You know me, sometimes I go there and I don't stop. Okay, so lunge forward, back knee lifts, draw into the belly. Your left foot goes to the sky, hips stay square, both knees bend. And as you're there, draw into that center. The left inner thigh is lifting, the outer hip is clear. Just nice and steady to that midline. And then exhale, left foot comes forward, shift the weight forward. Okay, so you're on one foot, right leg internally rotates, lots of, oh shit. Right foot goes back, knee comes down, flex the foot. Thank you for whoever just reminded me. Draw into the belly. Right hand comes over. That's what happens. So even I'm being critical of the people who criticize, right? And notice how it totally took me somewhere else. So drawing into the belly, heart soft, and breathing here. We'll just go from here to the standing split variation. Holy hamstrings, right? So think about it. Every time you come to your practice and you learn something about yourself, you don't judge your hamstrings as much. Although some of us still judge, oh, you know, I just can't do forward bends. Well, find a way to be like, I'm created the way I am. I love who I am. And forward bends aren't part of my vernacular. Doing inversions in the middle of the room takes me right into trauma. And I'm calling bullshit to anybody who's ever said, oh, you gotta get over your fears. No, I respect them. And I respect the trauma immensely. Lunge forward, I'm not critical of it. Lunge forward, shift the weight forward. Here we are. Standing splits. Hands come grounded, draw into the belly, find the length, up onto the ball of the left foot. This may be too much, so please be aware of where you need to be. You hold authority, only you know you, and we do these practices to get to know ourselves more fully. And as we know ourselves and we know actually we're not separate from the divine, we are one. Yes, I just said it. Ground the left foot, bend the right knee, both feet to the ground, bow, anchor, center. You're sustaining the strength, you're dissolving the limitations. Inhale, finally. We're always gonna have wounds though. Exhale, bow, hands to heart, shoulders to your back. Inhale, rise all the way up. Hands to heart center. Oh yeah. So my being is in a grand call to come to the earth. So we're going to come to the earth, feet turn apart, come all the way seated. I'm bringing certain things with me. And as you come all the way seated, come seated to the hips. Left leg moves out, right ankle comes across, bend the right knee, right? Draw into the belly, shoulders to the back, and connect to those sit bones. Feel heavy into the left sit bone. Maybe the right sit bone needs to come up off the ground slightly so that you can draw the shoulders. You can feel your ribs even. You can feel your low back even. Gracious breath in. Gracious breath out. If you want to go all the way into Agni Stambhasana, double pigeon pose, wood burning, wood logs, firewood pose, whatever it is. Sometimes the English doesn't make any sense to me. Agony pose, if you want to call it. Go for it. The wisdom of my being. I'm allowing that wisdom to be the leader as I sustain and allow other energy to dissolve. That's the practice of becoming the witness. The criticism usually got you to your mat because you knew something wasn't right. Release the left leg, draw the right knee over top. So if this is too much, crossing the legs, come to the sole of the foot so you can just do head to knee pose. Right? Find a length, draw into the belly, fold. Does anybody notice that when my back is bothering me, we come to this pose a lot? It's also the idea of coming into a forward bend, and earth energy is really the reverence, the get to the ground, to feel that engagement. So draw into the core, bow into it. If you want to close off your left nostril and breathe through the right, go for it. Exhale out completely. Finally, rise up. You're going to open your knee to the side and come back to where you were. Bring your hip forward, come down to your forearms. Okay? As you're on your forearms, sides of the waist are drawing in. Heart's lifting, shoulders are to the back. Just open the heart here. And then, yes, I know, your right ankle's still there. Come all the way down. Maybe it's my hairdo that's throwing my back off. So anyhow, as you come to the ground, left knee draws in. Use your hands if you like. Don't use them if you don't need to. And then anchor the left foot. Right leg goes to the sky. Ground in. My right leg is really tremoring. And so there's just, to me, there's a sign that there's a vulnerability in my body that's not able to connect to its alignment. So I'm going to stay the course, but I'm going to modify. Arms come by your sides, shoulders come to the back. I'm going to bend my right knee. You might need to bring it all the way to the ground. Arms ground, shoulders draw in. Inhale into a one-legged bridge pose. Plug in. So notice our knees here. Right? It's the similar arrangement that we were doing when we were standing in Uttanasana or Utkatasana, getting ready to move into Warrior 3. So cultivate that connection. Perhaps you extend out through both legs. It's not thrusting your hips. It's actually pulling back into the hard source and then offering back up, reflecting that energy out into the world. Big inhale in. And then exhale, bring the hips all the way down. You're going to stretch your left leg out long. Hands come around the eye of the right knee. And you're going to push your knee into your hands, hands into your knee. Draw into the core. Stabilize after the instability. Hands come around the back side of the leg. You're going to draw yourself up, stretch the right leg out, and switch sides. Right leg goes out, left leg comes in, bend the knee, hands come back behind you, and find the length. Again, you can come into Agni Stambhasana. We did not do a lot of hip opening, this outer line. Think about it, we did Warrior 1 and Warrior 2, not a lot of standing poses. We did Warrior 3 and a variation of standing splits. So keeping that equanimity in the body, moving forward and backward. So you might just naturally be able to go into that double pigeon. You might not. Meet yourself where you are. Honor yourself. Respect. Stretching the right leg out long, left leg comes across. Again, if you just want a foot to the inner thigh, go for it. Draw into the core, find that length, and then bow. Feeling the breath. If you want, if the head can make it to the knee and you want to close off the right nostril and breathe through the left, it's all yours. Be the witness versus the critic. So that is one really beautiful thing when you practice with others, that you can be inspired. We're usually silently competitive when other people can do things and you can't. There's so much that goes on in the unconscious land. That's part of the reason why we want to become the witness. Exhale out completely, ground into the earth. Find length through the spine. Inhale, come all the way up. You're going to unravel, bend the knee, and here we go. We're going to lower ourselves, to our elbows. Pause in the middle. This is the fix. This is the midline. This is the midpoint. You're coming to the earth, taking the time to align. We're going to be in so much momentum in the next month, and things are going to go that maybe this will even be a good practice to come back to when you feel the upsurge of the faster moving energy that you do not resonate with. Or maybe you come back and you do the replay and you were like, dang, it really is cuckoo crazy. So you're coming lying all the way down. This week, as I'm recording this is May 20th, we're getting a big sort of preview of what's coming the next month. Here we are, bring the foot to the ground, left leg lifts, plug in. So remember, we're coming into bridge. I got the wisdom to modify. I also got the wisdom of how off my balance was when I was on my right leg. So instead of being critical, I could laugh, right? And be that knowing that there's a bigger journey that I'm on. And so now I'm here, I'm like, oh yeah, this side was highly vulnerable. So I may even need to bring my foot further down, staying the course, and then inhaling up. I'm here, all is clear, now I can extend the leg. We always criticize modifications. We always are being asked to play the edge, to do the big pose, for everybody to do the big pose. Yes, that's great, it's beautiful. However, what you do then is bypass the wisdom you hold in yourself to understand how you need to modify so the expectation can dissolve so that you can actually lead with your own essence. Here we are, lead with your inner thighs, tail comes to the ground. Left knee bends, right leg extends, and it's traction. So good for the low back. Enjoying the breath in and the breath out. And we're gonna rock ourselves up. Not very earthly like of me, but preview, here we go. Both feet are here. Stretch both hips back. I am gonna use a bolster under my knees. Okay, you may not need anything. I confessed that I was gonna be using it when I first came to my mat. So don't judge me. Join me. Right? Or join what's going to serve you. That's like, there are so many gifts of virtual yoga. I miss all of you all, even those of you I've yet to meet. We're in this together. This journey right here. It doesn't matter about being live, okay? My energy is the same. Draw into the belly. Find the length. Thigh bones are plugging in, they're pulling back. Outer hips are anchored down. You're gonna find that length and then fold. Hands go to the feet. Bow into it. The difference here is that I'm just as vulnerable with you as you are with yourself. But you have a stronger boundary around your vulnerability because you're at home. Being that witness. If you need an assist, ask your angels. I know you can't really physically feel them, but you can energetically feel them, and they're there to help you. Exhale out completely, draw into the belly, inhale, come up. We're going to come into a comfortable seat, whatever that seat looks like for you. Okay, I'm being very mindful of my back and my hips, so this is how my seat looks. I want you to find, you might even want to go against a wall or a chair, or one day I might just design my own yoga pant clothes. This is like, does anybody else have yoga wardrobe issues? Right? So there's a motivation. My pattern is to dislike something and then go do it my own way. Not always a healthy pattern, but it also allows me to be creative. I'm not designing a clothing line. Not yet, at least. So come into a seat. A seat where you can sit well. That means that you can breathe and you can find a comfort, where your arms are supported, where your head feels light, your spine is long. And as you find that seat, sit with the energy that is yours, that is reserved just for you and your higher self and your lower critical, judgmental, contractive, negating, victim, martyr, perfectionist self. We contain it all. And what I'd like for you to breathe with is the benevolence, the devotion. That the breath is here to serve you, to guide you. That this material world is a chance to experience the divine. And in the cycles of life, we are given opportunities to be more steady, more opportunities to grow and evolve, and also the opportunity to lead, to be the leader of our light, to lead from our soul's energy. So the cross of the material world to the vertical line and the horizontal line is what we're going to breathe with. But so come to your heart center and maybe just breathe into the depths of your being and invite the breath to carry with it the love and the sustenance to carry you through any challenges, because yoga prepares us for what is to be. If the mind is just really anxious and needs to move, and the body is just uncomfortable and needs to move, that does not mean that you're doing this wrong. Just let it know, readjust. Thank your mind for being curious and motivated. And let it hop around with your breath. Your inhale and your exhale. And so if you give the mind something to occupy itself, like inhaling down towards the hips and exhaling up towards the sky, then you're being a little tricky with it. Or maybe you inhale out to the periphery of the horizon, and you inhale and you come to the center. Maybe you inhale to the horizon in front of you, and then come back in, belonging in your own skin and bones. Or you inhale into the horizon behind you, and then you come back into the moment before you, within you. And feel in these directions that you're dancing with, that you give the mind another little occupation to be a witness of how you're traveling forward or backward or downward or upward or outward or inward. But each time you come in with that sense of self-value, of worth, that you belong. In this moment, deserving to breathe. Respecting the veils that limit you and the lessons that are before you that contract your direction in life. And trust in the bigger picture, that there is a view and a vantage point that is much wider and much deeper than we can possibly connect with in our human nature. And we call in that wisdom and that guidance. And we lean into the arms of the universe by breathing with more conviction and devotion, not more control. And as you're breathing, slowly bring your awareness back to your own heart, or even your navel, or even your pelvic floor, deep into yourself. Or as my son reminded me, maybe into your mind's eye, maybe into your brain. Let the eyes remain closed, bring the hands together, and rub the hands together, and notice in that little friction there's a warmth. And in that warmth, you're just going to take your hands over the crown of your head, and you're just energetically bathing, cleaning out your physical being, all the way down through your together, rub them together. Bring the hands down to physically touch and brush off the arms, brush off the heart, the back, your legs. And rubbing the hands together. Oh, we forgot to brush off the head, didn't we? The mind, the neck. And then rub the hands together. Feel a newfound sense of warmth. Bring the hands over in front of your eyes so that we can see things differently. Open the eyes, looking into the palms of your own two hands. Feeling how much softer your energy is. And then slowly come lying all the way down. Feeling supported. Letting the ground hold you, literally leaning back into that grander support. And just as you are, enjoy a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Awakening. Honoring the fact that maybe you still want to stay on the ground. Sharing the connection with the earth and all that she provides. Honoring what it is that you need. And then we'll bend the knees, walk the feet in, roll over to one side. Stay in that one side as long as you need to. Be a little more graceful than I am. Just really paying attention to the needs of my body and my being for healing. As the hands come to heart center, honor what it is that you can be more observant with, aware of, and in that awareness of self, that you can also come back to that soul, that energy that's buried within you, that's all around you, that's guiding you and calling you forward. And ask it for the insight of what it can let go of. What's negating language or criticism or judgment that you hold for yourself or others? Can you offer up? Can you finally release? Maybe you don't have the words for it, but you just know that something needs to go. And as it goes, you're also open to calling in the wisdom that can lead you forward. Namaste, 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 namo namaha. We call in the divine wisdom to guide us, to lead us, to bring forward new gifts and newness as we salute and honor and say hello to this moment that sits before us, honoring the light that's in us and all around us, from my heart straight to yours. Namaste. It is said that our practices, when we connect to our body, reconnect us to our soul. So most of us have been so connected to our bodies and our minds and our physicality and the mundane that I'm calling forward a deeper connection to your soul's light, to the energy, to being more welcoming of your intuitive self. But I hope that you can also honor, perhaps you're in the opposite land, that you've been so aligned with your intuitive self that you're going to welcome in a greater connection to this earthly realm and this world in which you are a part of, and that your contributions reflect the truth of the light that you see all around you. So I thank you very much. This is continuing to unfold, just like life is, and I will continue to unfold in the many ways. Sometimes I get distracted by the comments. I do love you guys, and I do comment back. I'm staying away from the comments today and just pausing in that energy of connection to my inner world and transmitting it straight to you. So be well and be true and be soulfully you. I will be here next week, of course. We're moving into eclipse season. I will be talking about it in the classes. There are portals, and believe it or not, if you've been practicing with me, you're prepared, you're aware. Do keep in mind that there are a lot of people who don't do yoga. There are a lot of people who are not mindful. There are a lot of people who are overly attached to an identity that is no longer accessible. And there's nothing wrong with it. They're human, and we all navigate the tides of our life in this journey in our own ways, but rather hold space for them and keep clear boundaries so that you can hold the space for yourself as well. It's important, almost imperative, to give room for people to journey in their own ways. So I bid you farewell. If you only knew how intense my back is. But it's all good. It's why I keep showing up. It is for me as much as it is for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for letting me go over. Sorry, the Shavasanas just need to be longer. Oops, I'm cutting myself off. The Shavasanas, the final relaxation, need to be a little bit longer for many reasons. I appreciate you all so much. Ciao.